What's up, my late night Toronto Raptor fans? I'm your host, Adon Moss. Tonight, I'm joined by our producer, Don, because everybody else at Raptor Republic are old men and women, and they're sleeping in their beds because they can't handle this West Coast road trip. What's going on, Don?
I'm good. This is my second time being on camera, so I haven't really done a lot of note taking during this game. So yeah, you might have to
Okay. We all just
carry the.
pretend like we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
And also Don has a bunch of logistical stuff going on in the background, so it's just mostly going to be me and my musings. I've had a big old glass of wine, so who knows what I'm going to say. Free Utah, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Pacific Gate, and that's what I'm talking about. We just watched the Toronto Raptors squeak one out against the Los Angeles Clippers, 103-100. I don't know that many people foresaw the Toronto Raptors going on a 5-game win streak all on the road. Don, what did you have these guys at when they're heading off to the West Coast?
Well, I think I had the Laker game for sure winning, and who did they play again? I forgot. They played
We had the Nuggets,
Nuggets. Yeah, okay.
we had
I
the
had them
Suns.
losing that one. Suns. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a tough road trip. This was a tough road trip, and then
Very tough.
wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
I it was kind of like a little bit of oh, and they had the Spurs to start it off as well. It was a little bit
Right.
of a like make or break road trip here. Um, we all know how we started off the All-Star break or the post All-Star break. It kind of seemed like this team was ready to crater, and then they go on arguably the hardest stretch of games of the season, and they go 5-0. Has I mean, I guess we can talk about the game specifically because I don't want to do necessarily these big running themes yet. Who obviously Pascal once again stands out, but good or bad, was there anything in this game that kind of stood out to you immediately?
I think there's a couple things like Gary struggle shooting.
1 for 9.
But yeah, but if I'm being positive, Khem Birch played really well, I think. And I think that's because like he plays well against the 7-footer, right? And he
100%.
kind of shut down Zubac. And I think I don't mind doing that. I don't mind like changing the lineups according to the matchups like we did in 2019. Well, first half of 2019.
Yeah,
But yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying before JV got traded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I 1000% agree with you. I have no problem with changing. I mean, we have a pretty superficial lineup. I say we have maybe 8 guys that we're comfortable with playing. The audience right now is debating Utah versus Brooks, so
Yeah.
things are kind of like grim at that end of the bench. I have no problem diversifying who we play and for what stints. I just sometimes argue with why Nurse is choosing to play those guys at those times, and we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks now, like Khem Birch not playing the best, like playing better over the course of the road trip, but not playing his best. And I think, like you're saying, a lot of that is because he's out of position. Like he's not playing in a defensive scheme that like emphasizes his strengths, and playing a big man like Zubac, who's like really only going to exist as a big screener, but not a threat off the roll or like down low. Like that really suits kind of Birch's
Yeah,
style of
definitely.
play. Yeah,
I mean, we could go into this Utah versus Armani.
let's do it.
Uh,
I'll talk Utah all day, man.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing though. There's nothing to talk about because I'm agreeing with you. I think Utah deserves more playing time since the beginning of the season, and yeah, I think Utah like Armani like he Brooks played I guess pretty well last game. Not this game, the last game, but like a 10-day contract versus a obviously a solidified. Um, I mean, I guess Utah's contract isn't really guaranteed too, but Utah's been with the
Get paid
team for
more.
yeah, he gets paid more. He's been with the team for way longer. And whenever he's on the court, I see only good things happening with with the team when he's on the court. So I don't know about why Utah doesn't get as much playing time as well we all think he deserves to.
Look, I've been on every one of these wrap ups, at the top of the mountain trumpeting Utah's name. But I am going to say that I don't think it's really fair to compare Brooks and Utah. You can
Yeah,
ask a guy.
that's
I
true.
mean, think about Thad on the trade. Thad is a veteran, super intelligent player, and it took him a long time to kind of. And I'm not saying you. I'm just saying generally, it took Thad a long time to adjust. You can't expect a young guy like Armani Brooks, who played in a broken system in Houston, who was just used to getting his own, to perform at a level that justifies, heavy minutes. I think they're giving him a sprinkling of time to see if they can get lucky and he hits early. He is a shooter. I have been writing about him and was kind of waiting to see what would happen with the second 10-day contract. But
Hmm.
he shot 8 3-point shot attempts last year and hit like 38% of them. So he can shoot. He's just, you can imagine the pressure that's on him right now. He's like playing for his career,
Exactly.
and he's playing in a system he's not comfortable with. I think you're right. He played quite well against, I think it was Denver. He had
Denver
like
when
a,
he started. Yeah.
yeah, when he started, he played pretty well and he was deferential. He made passes. He worked hard. Tonight, he had a great corner closeout. I think Utah's a better player, but we need a backcourt shooter who can ball handle and kind of do a little bit more. And it's worth taking a flyer on Armani for a couple minutes. So that's the Armani Utah debate. I think they're both deserving of playing. I don't know why Utah's not playing at all, but we can't hate on Brooks yet either.
Yeah, I agree. But I just want to answer this Utah saying Utah's not a shooter. Like people say this a lot, but the stats tell the otherwise.
Yeah,
His 3-point shooting is not bad. His corner three shooting percent is pretty good. It's like over 40% last time I checked. So and then like if you're a catch and shooter, the corner three is probably a lot of the looks that you're gonna get. So I don't know. I hear a lot of those, but the stats don't lie.
yeah, you have to qualify your expectations. Like there are a few dudes that are like an automatic three playing very few minutes. Um, a game and again, Utah's the same thing. It's like you can imagine the psychological pressure of just being thrown out there for 3 minutes at a time and expected to perform. And he plays these garbage time minutes and he nails a three, or he has a massive block, or he has a good drive. Like he's a fine spot up shooter. He's just not a creator, and Brooks
Yeah.
potentially has that in his back pocket.
Okay.
uh,
Phoenix kind of just shut us down with this. This is
yeah, I
this is
mean,
true. Yeah.
that's true too. If Malachi plays at the level he's playing, it's but I mean, I you can never have too many shooters, so I think it's worth seeing. Well, I think Yuta and Malachi are don't really eat into each other's numbers necessarily, or minutes necessarily. But yeah, Brooks will definitely not play once Malachi's back. Back to the game, I thought
Back
a
to the
guy who
game.
stood out to me, other than the obvious, I just want to pull up the stats here, was Precious Achiuwa. And he had
Hmm.
11 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, a block. He most importantly was 5 for 7. Um, his shooting percentages from three have been much talked about of late. I wrote about it last week. Him and Thad were like some of the best 3-point shooters for the Raptors, not named Fred VanVleet or Gary Trent Jr. But most importantly, his at rim finish has been insane. Like he's I mean, well, we'll watch here some of the clips. Like he had that one finish over Marcus Morris that wasn't even counted as a hoop.
Oh yeah.
Um, but
I think that was an offensive foul though.
definitely was. But
Yeah.
the foul was after he scored, so it was kind of like one of those plays where maybe you should just score the 2 points and then call the foul. Um, but Precious is being decisive. His 3-pointer is suddenly a consistent thing. He barely hits them above the break. He hit one tonight. He's getting in the lane. He's still making the odd dumb decision. He had a couple of bad turnovers early, but man, his growth I think would be more talked about if it weren't for the fact that Scottie's going crazy right now. Like Precious's Precious's game on the offensive end um, is, I think, a big reason why we're winning these games. Like if he doesn't hit that three, or if Scottie doesn't hit that three, we're totally fucked. Especially if a
Hmm.
guy like Gary's going 1 for 9. And then on top of that, Precious has become one of our best defenders. Like he closed out Marcus Morris to finish that
Right.
game, but you see him like time and again switching off onto smaller guys and sticking with them, like vertically too, right? Like it's not just like staying with them on the perimeter, but like following them into the lane, and that's like not easy for an athletic 6'9" brawny dude like Precious Achiuwa to do. Like, look at his defense. Like, that's just perfect defense, man. Perfect defense. So he really stood out to me um, despite not having the biggest counting numbers.
I mean, for him, that's not a bad number as well, right? Like
Yeah,
11 points, 5 of 7 shooting, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks.
totally. Yeah, and it's like
Um,
it's about where you want your sixth guy to be, right? Is like, I mean, how many bench points we have tonight? Like 20 again or something?
yeah, 20.
We had 20 bench points. I mean, like, I guess you like Precious started, so technically he's not the bench, but
No,
um,
no, Birch started.
oh, sorry, Birch started. Oh, I have the so Precious came off the bench, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like he constitutes um half of the bench points. What were your thoughts on Boucher's game?
Um, Boucher, I think he played fine. Like he didn't really make any mistakes. He shot the shots that he's supposed to. He had that like that good I think I tweeted here, but the good catch.
That alley oop from Freddie, or like the
Yeah,
weird alley oop?
yeah, and that finish. This one.
Yeah, that was a big. Yeah, this was a
Yeah.
big play. We had a couple of Samson folk tweeted this was like his favorite 3 plays of the year in a row. Um, he like we had the tomahawk jam from Scottie, then we had the pick and pop with Pascal the Precious
Right.
for
Yeah.
three, and then we had that Freddie bailout lob to Chris Boucher all in 3 subsequent possessions. Um, yeah, but I think Boucher played fine. Like I sometimes he does disappear a little bit. I mean, he's becoming one of those guys. Um, Boucher is overrated and one-dimensional. I think that's quite
Mm,
high oversimplification on what Boucher does for this team. I do think he sometimes disappears in the offense, but I think that's because usage is a zero sum thing, right? There's only so much of it,
right.
and as Precious and Scottie develop, I mean, like, okay, so we can argue more like, uh, you know, bigger picture here that like maybe Boucher hasn't evolved or developed the way we thought he might, but at the same time he's contributing in a way that this team desperately needs. Like when you don't have size, when you don't have um like some athletic quality that overwhelms the other team, you need guys that just bust their ass. And I've really not seen a guy like Chris Boucher, who's so small in stature, like frame wise, work so hard down low rebounding. It's actually like I'm incredulous watching him do it. And so I think he's not overvalued. I think he brings a lot to this team in kind of like an intangible way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think, yeah, the rebounding, like the shot blocking, and like the scoring is obviously the probably the most inconsistent part of his game, especially compared to last year. But like we don't need him like scoring like shooting 10 shots a game, right?
Right.
Like
Well, in
yeah,
fact,
we just need.
we told him to stop it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah,
think Boucher just playing fine, like the way he is right now,
I
getting like
agree.
20 minutes a game, doing some intangible things like you mentioned,
Yeah, and
and
you want a guy that you can throw into the mix and just kind of fuck everything up. Like there's been a couple of games where they have him like 3/4 court pressing the ball handler just because he's so long. He like covers like half of the half court. Um, or like he's always in the mix down low. He's always kind of like tipping balls or like deflecting or blocking. Like he's just kind of all over the place. And even
mhm.
there's the unmeasurable or immeasurable parts of like you know his looming threat as a perimeter blocker or in the paint. So I think
I think this is a
sorry.
pretty good analysis of Boucher right now.
Yeah,
I think I kind of agree with that.
I agree, but conversely, I think early on in the season he was trying to do big things that were
Yeah,
beyond him,
right.
and that was distracting him from like doing the little things that he does do. So yeah, I mean, there is an evolution to his game. I mean, Mauricio says that Boucher needs to drive, and he's not a driver. That's totally true. But he has. If there, I kind of covered this a couple of weeks ago in my five things. Like he's started to develop that next part of his game where he's pump faking and searching for that next level. And he had a couple of good takes. He kind of has gone away with that, but.
Right.
What else we got? I mean, we
Talk
can
about
go into
Gary.
Pascal. Oh, we can talk. Let's talk about Gary. So 1 for 9, 1 for 5 from three, 4 free throws, 2 steals. I mean, he was sick. He had a
Right.
non-COVID illness, so there's that. Um, I mean, Freddie's kind of like I don't know what you think, Don. What do you think, Don?
On Gary, I think like when his shots aren't falling, I think he could be a good facilitator. And he showed that he showed some of like the flashes of being a great passer and playmaker when Freddie and Malachi were both out. But
Yeah,
like, I think this game he actually did that when his shots weren't falling, so he ended up passing those good shot to create a great shot, like the one that he had to Pascal. Actually, they were both to Pascal, where he the one in the first, I think early in the game, the one in the late in the game. So I think if he gets more involved like that offensively, playmaking and facilitating, I think he'll be fine. Like his shots will come. I'm not like afraid of him being cold in the playoffs if he facilitates.
yeah. I have notes here like Gary Trent Jr. nice driving kicks times two, and that was you're right. It was in the first quarter. And maybe it's that hangover deference where you're like, oh, I don't think I can keep going with this. I'm just going to pass it off. But you're right. I think one of his progressions over this massive shooting slump has been his passing and his distributing the ball. He does have like a small, like here heliocentrifugal force. It's not as big as a lot of other guys, but it's
All science
there.
here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I kind of, you know what I mean? Sun energy orbit shit. I don't know, but like he defenses worry about him is basically,
Hmm. His
and
presence.
yeah, and he's in his heater. He was able to hit those wherever, whenever, no problem. Especially those like when he's getting in the lane and leaning, and now he's not hitting those, and he's looking to kick, which is like that's what you want from any player, but that's what you want in the progression of a score. Um, my only concern is his shot selection, and like I kind of shat on Gary the beginning of the year before he turned into the Gary we know now because that was what worried me coming into the season is that he's just a jacker and he was taking low efficiency shots from all over the place and not really hitting them at a high rate. um, and he's like he was hitting them so you couldn't really complain and now he's not, and so like now the big question is what is he going to do now.
I think his
And
shot selection are actually not that bad this game.
they were better for sure. Yeah,
I
no,
agree with like on generic terms, but I think this game, like he just missed just good looks.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and
I'm glad he didn't shoot like 10 shots,
no,
knowing that he's cold.
and a spacer is one who hits or not, right? And so like the threat of him as a shooter right now is enough. But certainly if we want to advance anywhere in the playoffs, we're going to need Gary to be, if not a high volume scorer, an efficient one. And so like it is cause for concern because this is like he's had a couple of games, but overall I think like he's just not at the level we want him to be, at least not consistently.
Hmm.
um
Scotty B.
Scotty B, thoughts? We have
Um,
he's 7 for 16, 4 boards, 1 assist,
Scotty
which I don't
B.
love, 2 turnovers, 15 points.
Okay, I tweeted in one of the Scotty's highlights saying his buckets are all isolation, and I don't like that. I really don't like that because it was just isolation starting from nowhere. It wasn't like a play made up for him to isolate. He just isolated out of nowhere, and then like maybe there were some like mismatches on Zubac that he decided to go by himself, which is fine. But remember when Nick Nurse said, "Oh, Scotty gets mad at me if I don't make a play for him." I don't think that changed at all. And here's like even the post ups, like there wasn't a play where they tried to make a small like set up back screen and then try to make a smaller player guard him and then give him the ball at the post. He just goes by himself with the ball from the top.
Yeah.
And I I don't know, like do you think there are like more plays that Nurse can draw for Scottie?
Well, 100%, and I've said this for quite a while. I think tonight was a little bit more difficult for two reasons. One, the Clippers play a lot of zone, and so it makes it a little bit more difficult to get Scottie in the spots you want him to, and that's because that's what the zone is supposed to do, right? It's kind of like,
Hmm.
it's to cover off the lanes, cover off the post, and force a team to shoot the ball, whether they're good or not. So I think so. I think that affected how Scottie played, and also the plays that they could call for Scottie. I think the dribbling, or like the isolation you're talking about, was kind of planned because we saw Pascal do it 100 times in this game, where like they would draw out
Hmm.
Hartenstein, or they would draw out, like, I don't know, Covington, and they would attack him one on one. And I think to your point, like, they probably told Scottie, like, be more aggressive. Like, if you get a match that you like, go at it and go at it hard. And that's where, like, Scottie's game isn't exactly the tightest, especially like his ball handling and his like pull up. But I think that's probably why we saw more isolations. Like if Scottie is Zubats here like this, like, you've got to
Hmm.
attack him. We
Right.
do want that, and especially in a zone when you can draw him out of the help. Um, so yeah, I think that was like a big part of why we saw that. And he also just kind of has a knack to play, big at big moments in the game. Like, this is
Yeah,
like the
like
fourth
that.
game in a row where Scottie's like making huge plays down the stretch. Like that one that like where he stole a ball in fast breakdown, and then the other one where he just like dribbled right by Batum all the way to the
Hmm.
lane. Like, he does step up to the moment. So even when he's not hitting at a rate that you want him to, or scoring inefficiently, you want him to be aggressive throughout. So I think, but I do agree with you. Like, I just want to see more plays for Scottie. Like, you see glimpses of Pascal and him in the high low and stuff, and it's like, this should be happening every
Right.
game until somebody answers it.
I think it's just this game because Raptors as a team only had 14 assists. I mean, Siakam was going off, so you can't really blame them. But I don't think anyone had more than 2 assists or 3 assists in this game. Yeah, Freddie had 3 assists. Siakam had 3 assists. But if a player's going off like Siakam is, you just give the ball to him and just clear out the way.
Yeah, it felt like it was going to be one of those games for Siakam. I mean, I wrote about this as well. Is that Toronto's a heavy isolation usage team, and I think that's, if you look at their points per possession, really, like, Scottie and Pascal are really the only ones that kind of justify that kind of usage. Actually, Gary's quite high too, but it's, a big part of that's the 3-pointer, and it's from the perimeter. So I think, yeah, I'd like to see less isolation. But again, when we have the zone, it's just like, this kind of comes down to shooting sometimes. And it's like we were hitting those shots in the first half, or in the first quarter rather, and then we kind of petered out. What do we end up with? Six no, we were 11 for
Um,
32. Classic Raptors, like
yeah,
33%.
yeah.
Um, and I think in the first quarter, let's see, first
First quarter
quarter.
was I think both team went off in the first quarter
Yeah, we were
or first
5
half.
for 10, I think. 5 for 11. So we are 5 for
Right.
11, and then the rest of the game, um, oh god, I can't do math now. I gotta go back. What did I say we were? We were 11 for 30. So we hit 6.
32.
So we hit 5 in the first quarter, and then 6 for the rest of the game. So like, I think we had to be pretty, like, thankful that we kind of pulled this one out when you consider that kind of shooting. And then another crud night from the bench. Um,
Definitely.
Should anything else stand out to you that you want to touch on?
Probably the Ken M Taxman of the night.
Oh, good segue. Do you want to do the honors, or do you
No,
want
I don't
the
have the. You can have the.
audience?
You
Can
can
we
have
get
the
a vote?
honors.
Is anybody going to object to
I
Pascal Siakam right now?
I can't
This,
see people.
this would be his second in a row.
Deservedly so.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Phoenix is upset. Precious. Really
Oh,
interesting.
Precious.
I
I mean, this is where
mean,
like Kyle comes in and say, "Oh yeah, the Can-Am Taxman of the night. It's more for a player who played above his playing level."
right. Right. It would really help again if we had some kind of rubric that we could follow here.
But isn't
I
31 points is kind of playing above his average?
well, I think like maybe we this is kind of like before I get into the Can-Am, like a good time to talk about Freddie. Like, what did he look like to
Right.
you, Don?
Freddie started well, right? He started well, and then he kind of fell off. Um, but I think he still like I'm surprised he played because last time or last wrap up we were like saying Fresh should not be playing with injuries. But I think he looked fine. Uh, he did still like miss a lot of shots, and I saw in the comments saying he dribbles too much. I think he did this game a little bit where he like this one right now. This one. Now, there's
Well,
someone's
that
in
was
like
like
a problem. There's someone a problem. I just think this is kind of funny.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but other
That
than that,
one's
he
like
played.
playing tag is just like don't
Yeah,
like trying to burn as much time as he can.
he played well for barring injuries.
Yeah, I think he definitely I think and there's a reason why I'm bringing this up with Pascal, but I think Pascal kind of earns Taxman because we didn't really have the other guy to lean on tonight. It seemed like it was going to be Freddie first and or in the first quarter. Um, and then so Freddie had in the first quarter Freddie was 2 for 4 from three, so he had six of his 17 in the first quarter. But I think Freddie looks labored. I don't know if anybody's played where their knees are kind of bothering them. I've had 2 surgeries on mine, and like sometimes when my knee's inflamed, it feels like there's a sack of water between like my femur and my tibia, and you just like you're not in pain, but you just feel like a little bit less explosive, and that's kind of what he looked like tonight. Like he looked like he wasn't exploding the way he normally does. He looked a little bit labored. Um, and so maybe and so I think that impacted how he played, and therefore like Pascal did the heavy lifting tonight. Scottie had a down game, points wise at least. Gary played like garbage. Like no one really like stepped up and played dominantly other than Pascal throughout the game. And so
Mhm.
sorry Phoenix, but and even though I like the low key Taxman choice, I'm gonna have to go with Pascal Siakam. Um, so that's our Can-Am Taxman of the night. Taxman. Can-Am Taxman. Can-amtax.com is run by our sponsor, VJ Verma, who's, I believe, in Toronto, in Ontario, perhaps. He does personal and business tax. He is a good friend of the Raptors Republic. He's a big Toronto Raptors fan, and everybody look, it's tax season. We need to get that sorted before the CRA comes hunting for you. VJ Verma can help you out if you got some complex, weird tax like haven stuff going on that you need to sort out. He can do that for you. Don't go to H&R Block, whatever you do. Call up VJ and tell him Raptors Republic sent you.
Don't go to corporate.
Yeah, don't go corporate, man. H&R hose you. Okay, Don, it's 1:20 in Toronto, so I'm gonna fast forward us to questions so that we can all get out of here, and some of us can go to bed before 11, and some of us can go to bed before 2. Um, so all 226 of you who are still watching us, we determined last show that we got a lot of people from all over the world, so everybody's time zones
Oh
might
yeah,
be different, but we love that you guys are watching. Like us, subscribe to us, comment, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, post us on whatever social media you got going on, and now ask us some questions. And you're right, Mike. Like we got to be positive. Maybe I find that us are our folks, the wrap up folks, we're critical. We're not negative. We're critical. But this is a
okay.
big win. Like,
Can I
what do
say something
we
about? Sorry, can I say something about the Raptors community in Twitter?
do it?
I'm sorry, but like you guys are so sensitive. But
What
like, cause
happened?
no, it's like whenever like a Raptors, they hate the Raptors media people. And like if they say a one bad thing about Raptors, they attack them. Like today, the Eric Koringa attacked because he said Scottie had a soft touch in a shot.
What do you mean soft touch and shot?
Like he worded it a little bit weird. I guess he said like his shots are dying when it like bounced off the rim.
Oh,
Like that's a good thing, but like
be a good
people I
thing,
guess
yeah.
people misunderstood that, and then they just attacked him. Why? Why does that matter so much? But
I will say I'm not one of those people that would jump on those on like guys like Eric Kareem because they're one of our own, but I am a little bit prickly when I'm listening to fucking some kind of it was The Ringer recently and they're talking about like
yeah,
all of these
Ringer.
rookies and like how this year is a crazy class and they don't even mention Scottie Barnes. It's like
Yeah,
they
that's
literally like
stupid.
go like 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, and it's just like that stuff kind of bugs me. So I think the Raptor fan base is a little bit sensitive to anybody who criticizes their players and their team because like in the national or the American media, we don't get the same coverage.
Yeah, I know, but like you know how like Lewis got like screwed, like he got attacked, he got crucified by the because he about the Goran Dragic booing.
Oh,
Remember that? And
yeah,
then
yeah. And Josh
um
Lundberg kind of defended it too.
yes, well, and the last night Josh Lundberg said about that LeBron. Well, 2 nights ago,
Yeah.
how LeBron threw the ball. I mean, like whatever. And there's last thing I want to mention is Michael Grange got attacked because he said I remember he said in Orlando game how Franz Wagner outplayed Scottie in the first quarter. He got attacked. I'm looking at that, I'm just laughing. I'm like, what? Why is that such a bad thing to say that a player outplayed a player in a quarter? Like, why is that? Why is that such a, a statement that needs to be? I don't know, like just
Mis misplaced loyalty.
criticized.
We'll
Yeah.
chalk it up to misplaced loyalty. I will say
Yeah.
on the LeBron thing, when you're jumping out of bounds, I wrote about this, so it'll be out tomorrow. 5 things I dig and don't dig. But when you're jumping out of bounds, the first thought you have is find an opposing player, and the second thought you have is whip the ball at them as hard as you can, so that they A can't catch it, and B can't dodge it, so that it goes out of bounds. That being
Right.
said, LeBron had ample time to throw it.
Hmm.
He was You could see how pissed off he was all game and after that
Yeah.
incident at Scottie, at his teammates, at the world of basketball, at the media who apparently doesn't think he's the GOAT, whoever. Like he was fucking pissed and he was taking all of that anger out on Scottie because it's a free opportunity to throw a ball as hard as you want at somebody and justify it as a basketball play.
Yeah.
So
No.
I think Josh is right to say that that's what you normally do, but I also do think LeBron definitely meant to throw it as hard as he could at Scottie's
Hmm.
face.
Yeah. I mean, he was down, so like you didn't need to throw that hard. Just
No,
like little soft pass would have been out of bounds of Scottie, anyways. But
I feel like there's
yeah,
probably guys he could have even passed it to. He just
yeah,
decided to
that's
give
true.
it at
Yeah.
Scottie. But
But anyways, let's stay optimistic here.
yeah, okay.
And
So we just won
yeah,
five games in a row. Cavs lost to Philly tonight. They just let one
right.
slip by, so we're now a half game out of sixth. Do you mind pulling up?
Yeah.
Standing. So this is to encourage um, people to stay positive. We are now in half game out of sixth. The Nets are 3 games behind us. They also won tonight, I think. Did they win tonight? Did they
No,
beat
they
Dallas?
lost. They
They
lost by
lost.
Spencer Dinwiddie's buzzer beater
Oh, I haven't seen it. I'm gonna have to look that
again.
up. Okay. So if the games were to finish today, we would be in the play-in against Brooklyn. However, if we catch up to Cleveland, so we're only 2.5 games back from Chicago. Like anything can happen right now. Um, so there's a lot to be positive. There's a couple of scenarios here that like I feel like um, we could be playing like a Chicago in the first round or even a Philly. Like I'm kind of excited to play Philly in the first round. Um,
Where are you?
I kind of am. I feel like like we are the type of our Harden has yet to prove that he can match
Hmm.
like competitive intensity, and like if there's one thing we have more than most teams, it's competitive intensity, and I think that's like a guy like Harden and Embiid at times have bowed to that kind of swagger. So I don't know. I think there are worse teams that we could be matched up with. Who does? Let's see. Someone asked who Cleveland has left.
Oh, I
Cleveland.
saw on Twitter that it was pretty hard. It was a hard schedule.
So they go Nuggets, Pistons, Lakers. So that should be 2-1. Then us on next Thursday. Bulls, Magic, Mavs, Hawks, Knicks, Sixers, Magic, Nets, Bucks. And those games at the end might not matter for the Nets or the Bucks. So Cleveland could have like a pretty good, they could win a big chunk of games here. It'll be interesting to see what the Hawks and Knicks are like at that, and I bet the Mavericks too. So we'll see. They haven't had the greatest health either. Okay, Raptors are not a championship team. Thanks, Mauricio. I don't want that kind of negativity here. We just talked about being positive. Okay, let's go to a question. So, will Raptors finish ahead or behind Boston? Maxwell Pasemko. I'm familiar. I think we're going to say that Boston's going to finish ahead of Toronto. They've got a 3.5. What did I say? Two. They have a 2.5 game lead on us, and they've been playing quite well of late. So I'm going to say that we're not going to catch Boston.
But do you still agree with like the Vegas odds having them winning the championship? Like
that's crazy to me.
Third, like what top was it? Top three?
That's totally crazy to me. I would definitely. I don't know. I think I would narrowly put Milwaukee and Brooklyn and Philly ahead of Boston, narrowly. And then in the West, I mean, you have to put the Suns ahead, and I guess the Warriors. So I'm pretty surprised by that. It's not by much though. I think it's like a 0.1% over Milwaukee or something. Who would you guys? Don, you lead with this one. Who would you guys most want to see in the first round of the playoffs?
I think we answered this like a lot of times, but we always have like the Cleveland exception, right? Because it's obviously going to be Cleveland. But if we take out Cleveland out the window, I think Chicago. Honestly, I think we have the best chance against
with Caruso and Ball.
Yeah, because I think Ball said his rehab is a little late right now. I have him on my fantasy, but other than that, like Lavine and DeRozan and Vucevic, I think that's a good defensive match for us. I think because I guess like Vucevic will get like 20 and 10 easily on us, but I think he will give up a lot too.
I agree with you. I think Chicago is what we want. I don't know that we're going to get there just because if Chicago keeps dropping and we keep rising in an ideal world, then we're not even going to really, end up running into them. I just want to correct one thing. The standings hadn't been updated, so we're now tied with Cleveland.
No, it is updated here.
Okay, well, mine wasn't updated, so I was misspeaking. They're tied with Cleveland. They're both 6.5 games back of first. So we're only 2 games behind Chicago now. And yeah, so I just wanted to correct that. I think.
Well, you said half game off six seed, which is technically correct because you don't have the tiebreaker. Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Don. That makes me feel better. I'm going to say, I'm going to answer that question out of the top 3. And I am going to say Philly. I think maybe I need to think about it some more, but I really just think that I think Giannis is unshakable now. I think when we played him, we kind of got in this. He was still at a point where he was growing mentally, and I think now I don't think that's as easy to do. I don't know that Philly has a shit ton of pressure on them. Embiid is near MVP. He has a lot to prove. Harden obviously has a ton to prove. Tobias Harris has struggled. Maxi's a second-year guy. Tybal can't shoot worth shit, and then they don't really have a bench. So I feel like that's the kind of team that we could maybe squeeze out just by sheer determination and intensity. I mean, obviously they're two of the 8 best players in the league, I guess, but that's probably who I'd pick. People are saying Miami as well. I think that's true too. I just don't want to play Lowry. Like it kind of makes me like scared to play him.
Oh, we're not gonna play. We're not gonna play Miami first round.
Yeah, well, you're right. Like we would have to.
I mean, I guess we could because like to play in and then
Yeah,
we
we'd have to
fall to
lose
eight
and then
seed.
win the
Yeah,
play-in. Yeah.
but a lot of people saying Philly too. I'm pretty surprised by that actually. I mean, like I agree with what you said, but it's Embiid's gonna go to the line like 20 times a game, and that's gonna be a boring game anyways. But
No.
yeah,
But
yeah,
coming
that's
full
true.
circle, then Birch is going to get a lot of playing time.
Right.
Don, I had a question for you. Oh, Kevin O'Connor on the Ringer was talking about the idea of the first place team choosing who they play in the first round by virtue of the idea of like, the first doesn't really get that big of an advantage other than home court advantage, but like it's not that much more than second or third. So, do you think that's a rule change that they should consider?
Like choose out of like the play-in teams.
Yeah. So like no, anybody from fifth place down.
Oh, what? No, that doesn't make sense.
So okay, let's say Miami finishes today, right?
Yeah.
And then so they have 4 teams from 5 to 8 that they can choose because they're first, right? So there's like, okay, you won the regular season championship, like you're the best team in the conference. Congratulations, you get 1 extra round of home court advantage.
No, you get home court advantage throughout the playoff or throughout the Eastern
Yeah, but
Conference
like,
playoffs at least.
but that won't be.
Right.
Oh yeah,
You have to go past first round to do that, but
yeah. All I'm saying is that like they could end up
so,
playing Brooklyn in the first round, which is just kind of bullshit, right? Like that's just dumb luck based on a bunch of stuff. So why not give them a little bit more of an advantage and choose? So you're obviously not down for it.
I'm not down for it because I think that's too much of a controlling what like the
The
natural
destiny.
yeah, the destiny, the organic part of the game. I think
That
that's too much of a too much of a like just first seed too, like not second seed like chooses the
you could
next
do. No,
third.
you could do a draft, right? So first
Oh,
seed gets
okay.
first choice, second gets second choice.
I'm not surprised it's from Ringers though.
I think it would just yeah. If someone said it was Zach Lowe's idea, which wouldn't surprise me, and whoever it is,
Oh,
I'm
Zach
all
Lowe. Okay.
for it. Can you imagine the drama? Like Miami
Yeah.
goes out of its way to choose like a team that's a higher seed. It's like it's basically the biggest fuck you could send to another team, right?
Exactly.
Like I don't think it's that big of like I don't think it's that disruptive to do it, and I think it just is great drama. It builds rivalry. Like there's so much like from a PR perspective that makes sense for this. So it's the same thing with the play-in. Like I feel like a lot of
Exactly.
people were
Yeah.
against the play-in, and like now it's
LeBron was,
yeah, and it's like
and now
now
he
it's
needs it.
well, it's changed. Like the other thing about okay, so the play-in incentivize teams further down the standings to play toward
Right.
to the end, right? Or even to be buyers at the deadline. The same thing with first, second, third. It's like a lot of these teams are going to start like resting dudes and taking games off. Whereas like imagine having that power like to play for. I think it just incentivizes more competition.
Yeah, I think I agree with this. It's too complicated. I know it sounds simple to us, but I think even some people doesn't understand play-ins fully. Because like, do the 7th seed play the 10th seed? You know, like I think let's make it simple.
Okay, well, whoever it's confusing for will send you a pamphlet, and then you can open it after every playoff game and see what's going on. Okay, fine, whatever. I thought it was a cool idea.
It's a cool idea. It's interesting, but I don't know
You
if
just don't
it's
like it.
feasible. Yeah.
Don, how would you evaluate Thad at this point? Was he worth the not losing the pick, but devaluing the pick, let's say?
Um. Yes, I think Precious performance lately kind of has to do with that from his post-game interviews and stuff. So that's a win by itself. And like we're gonna lose a first round pick probably anyways, right? With Goran Dragic. So is like that is obviously the very unique player that no one really mentioned before the trade deadline, but I think he brings a lot of stuff like intangibles that you mentioned with Khem Birch off the bench.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, and then like that and OG has like that connection with their past, the AAU team, and now he's like mentoring Precious to be like a future All Star. I mean, okay, maybe I'm like reaching too much, but future great player.
No, I think
So,
go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I think like the better question is this.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I guess the two kind of feed into each other. Like, if he's worth re-signing, that would suggest that he was worth the trade, I think. Um, we've seen the benefits of Thad, like against Denver, for example. Like he was one of the big muscle men, one of the henchmen we threw at Jokic. Um,
Hmm.
I think he gives us like presence down low in the post, on both ends. He's a little bit of a playmaking hub. We haven't seen a ton of it lately, but it's kind of there. He does attack the rim a little bit. Like he's. I mean, I don't think he's necessarily reached his potential yet of what he could be, based on what I've seen from Thad in Chicago, for
Yeah, that's the
example.
thing. I think people saw that and then kind of expected him to be the same player.
Yeah,
But you got to remember, like he barely played this season, and he still is like looking kind of rusty ups like in some games and some times
yeah.
in the game. So I think he'll be like his intangibles will shine more in the playoffs. I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
What he said.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think like, so I think on the court he's going to benefit us more down the stretch, and losing OG, I think he kind of helped a little bit. Like he kind of gave us that like lateral quickness, but big sturdy presence down low that can kind of switch. Honestly, you should go. Like I was watching all of the Denver highlights, and like the way he kind of just is able to cover the baseline and like muscle around Jokic was just like something we didn't have before, because he's like, we have Birch, but Birch can't do really anything else. So like that kind of gives us, he fits the scheme work of what we want to run on our defense, but
Hmm.
still gives us like girth and strength. But then to your point, I think like intangibles, he's incredible. Like he fits right in. I think the team is learning from him. He's a veteran presence that we didn't have, that I thought Dragic was going to be. Um, and so, like, are we going to lose 12 places in this pick? Probably, which kind of sucks. But, I'm hearing it's a top heavy draft again. We have Masai, who's basically never missed on the draft. I say basically. And Malachi is still out. Like, we don't know for sure if that's a miss or not. So we'll wait and see on that. So I think, do we resign him is the big question. I don't know that he's going to get much more elsewhere. No one else wanted to trade for him. So, I mean, if we can get him on a vet min or something, I don't see why not. And yeah, like to this point, like that's the cool thing about the Raptors culture and like who we are as like I wrote about this for tomorrow as well. Like the love and joy that this team shares. Like after the last four wins, you watch them on the bench, like hugging each other. Pascal's laughing, they're dapping each other up. Like there's something about this team that's like really infectious. And I think Thad digs that. He's a basketball player through and through. Um, we gave him a breath of life. I think maybe he'll stay loyal to that.
Well, at least he's not going to be paid like 14 million like he is right now. So, like, I
True.
think the contract is obviously the main focal point of the signing. And yeah, like you mentioned, I think it's going to be. I don't know, but vet minimum is that too greedy to ask? Do you think?
I mean, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it is. Yeah, you could be right. I don't know like how big a market there's going to be for him, but
Hmm.
you're right. I mean, if he plays better, it might have to be. I don't know how those, like it could be one of the mid-level exceptions or something. I don't know. We'll have to kind of see.
Litmus still not over the Orlando Detroit loss.
Those hurt, man. Those
Yeah.
really hurt. those could have jump started us into. But who knows? Maybe like we win those, we're overconfident going into the West Coast trip, and we fuck those up. So it's hard
Yeah.
to know. Everything kind of works out. But yeah, those are tough losses, no question.
It's better to beat the good teams.
Yeah,
But
and
you should really beat Orlando though,
I mean,
and Detroit. But
they
there's a
could have
curse.
treated the Clippers poorly too, right? Like the Clippers aren't bad by any means, but they're not an upper tier team. Like we could have come off like all high and mighty after these last 3 wins, but we came out with like the same killer instinct we've had the last little while. So,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we've learned our lesson a little bit. I don't know.
Right. And here's the schedule.
Yeah, let's get out of here. We'll talk. So we're in Toronto on Friday. Thank God we're back to normal East Coast time, or sorry, Eastern time. 7:30 on Friday. Then Philly, Chicago, road trip, Cleveland, Indiana, Boston. So Don, we got 6 games. I'm reading 6 games here. What's our record for you?
6 games, so that goes until Boston.
Yeah, including the Boston game.
I want to say 4-2. I think
Where
the
are
2
our
losses is Philly and Boston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm gonna go 5-1.
5-1. I think honestly,
Yeah.
I was thinking about this too. I think LeBron, they got destroyed by. Well, they got just taunted by the Minnesota Timberwolves today.
That was disgusting.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that, man. Cat has done nothing. Pat Beverly has done nothing. They are not worthy of like mocking Russell Westbrook, man. I think that it's just like it's also like there's ways to be like okay, I don't know. Do you see the interview between Draymond Green and Joel Embiid?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Like that's trash talking. Like
That was a
that's
healthy trash
respect,
talk.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's not like everybody airballs sometimes, right? Like it's just it happens to the greatest players. It just happens. Like I don't know.
I mean, it's Pet Bev, so I wasn't surprised by that. But the Karl Anthony Towns' reaction was pretty funny though.
He's done that a couple times though. I
Oh, like the
honestly
air thing.
yeah, or just like mocking, like
Oh,
kind of
really?
this like, and he always looks like a whiner. Like it instantly made me hate Minnesota, which is great. I need a team to like despise. So because I like too many teams, and now I'm just like I want Minnesota to get thumped. Who's Brody?
Westbrook.
Oh, what did he say? That they don't deserve to mock him?
I guess I think, or I think I heard that too. I think someone said that.
Yeah,
Saying they didn't do anything in the league.
they haven't
But
done anything.
it's a
Bev and Westy have a little bit of a rivalry thing going, but like Westbrook is like
little.
Westbrook's a top 75 player all time. Like he's washed and he's being stubborn about it, but he's a top 75 player all time. Pat Beverly can go fuck himself. Cat hasn't done anything to prove that he's worthy of like
Hey, just
mocking an
60.
all-time great. It doesn't matter. Like
I don't
let's
know.
see you in the playoffs, man. I don't know.
I think they might play in the play-ins actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm all for like yelling at each other's faces and like competing at levels that border violence. But it all it's like rugby, man. Like you go out there, you smash each other's faces in, and then you go for a beer. It's not like this petty kind of mockery stuff. There is a fine line, but like to me, it's like very like distinct. I don't know.
Well, look at this though. Well, here's the thing. I'll say this. I think if Pat Beverly played for the Lakers instead of Westbrook, I think they would have a better record
You do think?
this season. This season, yes. I truly do think that.
Yeah, but I mean,
But
but even if
but
that
all
is true,
time rise, yeah, you're right. All time.
I mean, if you think about it this way, like how many players are better than Pat Beverly in the league right now? Like 100. So they can all just mock him.
I actually don't think 100 people are better than Pat Beverly.
Oh man, we're gonna have to have
He's
a podcast where I
he's
name
playing pretty well,
99
man. He plays
players.
pretty well when he plays. I mean, he was kind of out this season with injuries, but when he plays, I mean, like let's take the trash talking aside. He's a good player, I think.
Oh,
I think he's a
I
good
don't
player.
dispute it, but he's not like and again, I like guys like Pat Bev. Like you want those kind of guys on your team, but I also think like I don't know. Pat Bev and maybe West and Pat Bev got their thing going on, like whatever. But But
Yeah.
yeah, Cat really just kind of pisses me off.
Okay. Well, we'll see them on March 30th.
Yeah, the Scottie and Pat Bev are gonna go at it.
Anyways.
Okay, that's it for us. We're gonna get out of here. That was a good, healthy conversation about a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, that was kind of last minute for me, so
You did great,
whatever.
Don.
Just
Everybody,
talking.
give us likes for Don. Throw some retweets our way or whatever you guys do. We appreciate you listening.
It's like almost
Always a
2 a.m. in the
pleasure.
Eastern Conference.
Yeah,
Eastern
damn.
time.
Yeah,
So
that's respect. We got 215 viewers. Thanks to you all. We will see you Friday. I don't know. Maybe I'll be out partying. I don't know if I'll be here or not, but hopefully Oren and Sahal will be back. Kyle was supposed to be here tonight, but his internet crapped out. I don't know. Maybe he's in a cabin somewhere writing poetry. I'm not really sure. But thanks, Don, and thanks to all of you viewing. Have a good night.
thank you.